Good morning, everybody, and welcome to your Newcastle United news right here on the Toon Review on this Tuesday morning. Thank you very much for joining us. My name's Paul, and, well, we've got a lot to go through this morning, as usual with Newcastle United. It seems like the stories are absolutely never ending at Newcastle United. But usual applies, guys. If you do enjoy this morning's show, please give it the thumbs up and show your appreciation to the channel. And of course, if you are new, please do click bottom right hand corner, click on the logo, click subscribe, and come and be part of this amazing community as we head rapidly towards 27,000 subscribers. You can, of course, become a member of the Toon Review by hitting that join button just underneath myself. And you can donate to the channel as well, of course, by hitting the $ at the bottom of the live comments, which will also guarantee your comments to be read out on the show. Right, let's get into this. Now, of course, a deal for Miggy agreed. Or has it? That is the question. That is why there's an exclamation mark and a question mark next to this, because there's reports are coming in that Newcastle United have agreed a deal to sell Miggy to Al-Shabaab. Now, at the moment, that is all up in the air because some people are saying that it hasn't been agreed. There's actually other Saudi clubs interested, including Al Ali, of course, who is Max's team. So that is very interesting as well. Whether there's a bidding war going to start for Miggy Almiron, I don't know. But there is suggestions that Newcastle United want closer to £30 million than they do, which I think the original price was around 20. So Newcastle United are looking for around £30 million in order to sell Miggy Almiron. Interesting, very interesting. I didn't think that we could get anywhere near 30 million for him, but obviously, if Al Ali are going to come in and offer more money than Al Shabaab, then it's very interesting. But apparently, he has already spoken to Al Shabaab and he has agreed to move. Now, some of the bigger media outlets are reporting this, not the Scooby-Doo ones, to be honest. The bigger ones, TalkSport have reported that Miggy has agreed a deal. There's a couple of other big hitters out there who've said the same. It seems to me that it is going to be Miggy that leaves out of the four that have been suggested to leave, the likes of Lascelles, and then you've got Callum Wilson, Kieran Trippier, and now Miggy, of course. But I'm not sure where the ground lies with Trippier at the minute. I think Newcastle are pretty adamant that they don't want to lose him. But money does talk, guys. Money does talk. And if Munich were to come in with a bigger offer for Kieran Trippier, then we could see him leave. I don't want to see him go. I want to see him stay and help us through the rest of this season, certainly. Richie Rich says 50 million for Trippier, right? Yeah. I think, to be fair to John, I just think he was misheard. I did think he said 50 million at first, but after listening a few times, I'm pretty sure it's 15, he said. But, I mean, look, everyone's going to have their different views on, Kieran Trippier and how much buy-in are going to come in. The German media seem to think that he is still a priority for Bayern Munich. The English people, the media, have turned around and said, well, Newcastle don't want to sell. So where we are with that, I don't know. But Miggy's the interesting one, isn't it? And then certainly, when this news broke yesterday, we, of course, went live yesterday morning with the show and had a conversation about, what the fact that we should have a replacement in. Now, that replacement for me has already been banded around, and that is Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest. He has been linked with us now in the media, so there's a lot of talk going on that he could be a replacement. But I think it's going to take a lot for Nottingham Forest to move Gibbs-White on, because he's massively important to them. And, of course, he played really well against us at St James's Park the other week when Forest, of course, turned us over. So Morgan Gibbs-White is certainly somebody who we're looking at. However, the price, I think, quoted for Morgan Gibbs-White is around 50 million quid, guys. And I just don't think we're anywhere near being able to afford that amount of money. There's been a report on Ederson, which we'll come on to shortly as well, saying that we can't afford him. So if we can't afford him, then Morgan Gibbs-White is pretty much out the window for me, certainly in the winter transfer. So, we need to wait and see what happens with that one. But news is going to come in all the time about Miggy, and we have to be careful what we do believe and what we don't believe. Newcastle United themselves have been very quiet. Now, Keith Downey did an interesting piece saying that, Newcastle United have no interest in selling Kieran Trippier and Callum Wilson. However, they haven't stated that Miggy is not for sale, which is interesting because I think at the end of the day, I think we all know as football fans that, football is one of those things that every player has his price. That's just the way football is in this modern day. And if, certain clubs offer a certain amount of money for players that are too good to turn down, any club is going to do that. Any club is going to do that. They are going to, accept the bid if it's a big one. And Bayern Munich, for instance, if there was quoted a price yesterday of around 11 to 12 million. I mean, getting our money back, would that make sense for Kieran Trippier and his wages off the bill? It's interesting, but Miggy would get a decent amount of money for. If Newcastle want more, towards the 30 million pounds, I think, if we got 30 million pounds, for me, I think that would be an absolute incredible achievement by the Newcastle owners to get that kind of money for Miggy Almiron towards the 30 million pound mark. Even 25, I think, is a stretch, but 30 million would be incredible. It really would, and I think we couldn't turn that down. And of course, Miggy's wages off the bill as well. But are we planning for the future here? Are we planning for the summer, or are we still interested in trying to do something this season? I don't know. I can't really answer that. I'm a little bit perplexed, if I'm honest, about certain things, about the rest of this season. Is the commitment there? Are we really going in for it this season, or are we just hanging back a little bit now and waiting for the summer? It's crazy. But, we as fans, I think we have a right to ask these questions. And I just hope we're not going to give out the rest of the season, because I think it's important that we at least give the cup a good run. That's what I want to see. Let's have a look at some of your comments this morning. Alan says Gibbs White is worth every penny of 50 million as well. It would be a shame if we couldn't get him. Keith says, I don't want Trippier to leave, as he's been brilliant for us. Miggy out and Salah in was the news in the Sun headlines. Page 3. Yeah. Page 3, of course. Ridiculous. I wouldn't believe anything the Sun says anyway, if I'm openly honest with you. Kenny says, watch German TV show Bayern. Ex-captain says it should be a no-go Trippier. Well, everybody's going to have the opinion on Trippier, including the Bayern fans, and the Bayern media. What I find astounding is that, there's such a big push for Trippier within the Bayern club themselves. But, I have watched a few or heard a few fans writing that they don't understand the deal, the Bayern fans, that, 33-year-old, a player coming to the end of his career. Why would they want him on a permanent deal? It's strange. However, we know as Newcastle fans how good Trippier is. Hasn't been great the last few games, absolutely not. But we know what he's capable of, and we know the footballing brain he has. And when you're challenging for top European trophies like Bayern still are, you kind of need those players in the club. So Orban got snaffled up. I see. What a missed opportunity there. If we can get 30 million for Miggy, surely we can get 15 for Jeff Hendrick. You know what? It's a strange one. But there's no interest in Jeff Hendrick, is there? I mean, I don't even know where he is. Is he back at the club? Is he on loan? Very much the forgotten man is the Irish Pele. So, I hope Jeff Hendrick does find a club and continues his career. But he certainly, 15 million for a guy that I don't even think would get that anywhere near that. Hendrick out of contract in the summer, 50k a week off the bill. 50k a week, guys. 50k a week for Jeff Hendrick. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. And this just goes to show how bad the previous regime was. Unbelievable. By the way, those of you that talking about Dan Ashworth putting things out on X or Twitter, it's not him, guys. That's not the real Dan Ashworth. So there you go. Neto would be fantastic, but would cost a pretty penny. Yeah, look, we spoke about Neto last night on the show, and I'm a big fan of Neto and think he'd do a lot for the club. But, we have to talk about Toon and Brownie. I know it was a joke, mate. Don't worry. We have to talk about the amount of money that it will cost to bring these players into the club. Just because we would get, if we did sell Miggy for £30 million, it does not mean that we've got the funds available to go for Pedro Neto. And why would Wolves want to sell him as well? It's easy for us to say, oh, we should have gone for, XYZ player. However, that's not to say that the clubs that they are owned by are going to sell these players to us. When Newcastle come and knocking these days, it's very difficult for us to sign players. We all know about the Newcastle United tax out there. We all know about various other things that stop us signing players, and certain Premier League clubs reluctant to do anything with us. So it is a very, very difficult time if you're a Newcastle United, certainly in the executives, trying to bring players in. Richie Rich said, he said on so many occasions that he moved back to the UK for his family, it seems silly he would go back abroad unless something's happened personally to shift this. I mean, you have to remember that, his wife did say that there wasn't anybody else English out there. Harry Kane, Eric Dyer, they're out there in Germany. So it does make a big difference when there's already English families out there for you to try and settle. I don't think particularly that the move to Bayern Munich would be a long move anyway. So it's up to Kieran. And you have to, whatever's happened behind the scenes, nobody will know. And I don't want to know. Most fans don't really want to know. Whatever's going on in Trippier's private life is his own. And I think if he does want to move, maybe it could be for personal reasons as well. Travis says Trippier is the only deal our squad could cope with at the moment, as we have cover, sell in and bring a midfielder as we are desperate. The thing is, I mean, you know what it is? I'm worried about the striker situation because I just don't think Wilson is going to stay fit. Wilson could come back and then all of a sudden, boom, he's injured again. And it leaves Isak up front. I mean, we haven't really covered the positions that we really thought would be covered in this transfer window. I know there's a bit of time left in the window. Absolutely there is. But it's worrying, isn't it? We haven't really done anything to cover the positions that we all thought would be a necessity during this window. Tangy says Bruno and Gibbs White with their distinctive mustaches would be a great midfield. Could imagine Mario and Luigi memes going around. Absolutely. We have seen Trips was dreadful, yet Eddie Howe still played him. This is Eddie Howe's weakness. Well, look, I mean, I don't particularly think that selling Kieran Trippier in this window is a great idea at all for Newcastle United. Not at all. What I do believe in is if we bring a couple of loan deals in to replace certain players who've left. So if Trippier goes, then bringing somebody on loan for the rest of the season in a position that we need to fill would be logical. But just selling him now, and the same really applies to Miggy. Selling them now, I would think that they've got somebody that would come in. I think they've got somebody lined up. Otherwise, it just makes no sense at all that we're going into the second half of the season even weaker, and that says a lot, weaker than what we were before the window opened at the beginning of this month. It's mental, and it's something that you do worry about. Mawson, thank you very much for your super chat. That is very, very kind, my friend. Thank you so much for that. Hope you're well, buddy, out there in Saudi, supporting the lads. Keep it going. Thank you, Mawson. Talking about Thiago Silva still playing at 39 for Chelsea. Yes, he is indeed. Arsenal have been sniffing around Neto for a long time. Yeah, look, this is what we have to get used to, is the fact that if we are interested in a player, you bet your bottom dollar that there's going to be other players interested in that. Other teams interested in that player, such as Neto. There is going to be big teams who are wanting big players. And if we want to be a big boy status, we have to challenge for these players. That's why I said yesterday that it is very important that we try and get at least into Europe this season. Maybe not the Champions League, but at least into Europe so we can grow. We can get the players in because we have to bring better players in than what we've got if we are to be an elite side. And we have to continue that over a number of years. Lose Trips, forget any chance of an FA Cup run. For the money, it makes absolutely no sense unless, of course, this would help with his family circumstances. It's just as cold in Munich. Yeah. Jonathan Rowe for Norwich will be a good replacement for Miggy. Young, fast, and can finish as well. I'd be worried about bringing players in from lower leagues at the moment. Certainly not in the summer. I'd be perfectly open to that. And Jonathan Rowe is a very good player. But will he be able to adjust and go straight? Let's be honest. Whoever comes in, if we do sell Miggy, is going to be thrown in at the deep end. None of this keeping him on the bench for a few games or anything like that. We'll need him to be up and running straight away. And is a young championship player going to come into the Premier League and hit the ground running? Sometimes they do. Absolutely. But I think it's a massive risk just throwing them straight in. Lee says, morning, Paul and everyone. At least 25 for Miggy, maybe more. Flairboy, thank you very much for your super chat. Any news of Joelinton, as rumours say he may leave? Parkmeister, thank you for gifting a Toon Review membership. That is very kind, mate. That's gone to Roger Cook. So, Roger, you've got a month's free membership with the Toon Review, and prizes will be coming for our members very soon. Just that point on Joelinton, there isn't anything really. I mean, TalkSport yesterday came out with a saying he was gone. He played his last game. He was leaving, or he was going to leave at the end of his contract because the contract talks had broken down. I'll reiterate this again, guys. Contract talks, right? Joelinton can't speak to anybody until January next year, which is 12 months away, and a hell of a lot can happen in 12 months. Joelinton has ambitions now. He's a top quality midfielder. There is no doubt about that, and he has massive ambitions as a footballer now. Kari, thank you very much for being a member for 24 months, 2 years membership. That's incredible, mate. He says, we have to do something or will our season be ruined? Joelinton, as I say, he doesn't have to. We've got a year left and a lot can happen in a year. Who's to say we can't go on a brilliant run for the rest of this season, finish in a European spot, start bringing these quality players through the door in the summer, and bang, we're challenging. That's where Joelinton wants to be. And you can't blame these players for having ambition. You can't blame Joelinton or Bruno or whoever it may be for having ambition to go on and win things. If it's not with Newcastle, you bet your bottom dollar it's going to be with somebody else. Miggy, I think, is a different kettle of fish at the moment because Miggy is coming up 30 this year. He's got an opportunity to go and make a lot of money in Saudi, which will really, really help his family for the rest of their lives. He wants to make sure that happens. Then he could go to the MLS, or as Foxy said last night, he could go back and finish his career in Paraguay with his hometown club. So there's a lot of options for Miggy still there. But I think Miggy's a very different situation to what the likes of Bruno and Joelinton are, who really, and Isak, Botman as well, these big players that we have will want to win things. They will have been told certain things, certainly like Bruno and Isak and Botman, when they signed for the club, they will have been told a lot of things about where the ambition for the club is, where this club needs to be, where we want to go, etc. And that is very, very important because that is what we're going to be saying to future players to come in at the club as well. We're not going to be sitting around on our backside saying, just bringing players in for the sake of it. We're going to go for the big players, which is why we need to be as high up in the league as we possibly can. Otherwise, what is the point of Newcastle owners saying they want to be an elite side? Because elite decisions have to be made. I can't see any club taking on Wilson. As good as he is, he isn't available enough for any club to fork out money. I agree. I don't understand where these Wilson rumours have come from, and I don't really believe that the likes of Atletico Madrid and AC Milan would take Wilson on. I mean, they obviously want a striker for a reason. They need him on the pitch. And if they look at Callum Wilson's injury record, certainly, over the last few years, it's not great. And I'm staggered that they're even looking at him, if that is true. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm staggered. The Miggy deal for 30 million would work for us. Switch Gordon to the right and Barnes on the left. Of course, when he's fit, the summer could work very well. Look, that's an interesting one because if we don't replace Miggy, I have a feeling that, even we know he likes his wingers on the other side. Barnes could go on to the right. I don't necessarily agree with that because Harvey Barnes has spent a lot of his career on the left-hand side. But would he just jumble it up for the rest of the season? You never know. But God knows when Barnes is coming back. That's the thing. We don't know with these players. We keep getting a lot of players say, or managers saying, he's coming back soon, and then bang, he has a little bit of another injury, and he's out for another few weeks. It's mental. Pilorkey says, Postman literally just dropped off my mug. Cheers, Paul. Kettler's on to test it out now. Thanks, mate. I hope you enjoyed, buddy. By the way, just a quick one. Those of you that won calendars and things like that in the shows, I've received no emails for addresses and things like that. So if you did win a calendar, obviously I've got the names from the show, so I know who they are. But can you email me, please? The email address is in the description. Email us and put in the subject what prize you won and your address, because I've still got loads of prizes to give away. We've got a box full from Spike. His amazing generosity again. Brilliant. So we've got loads of prizes to give away, but we've still got some left from over the Christmas period or from the Christmas show to give away. We haven't had the emails to send them out. So if you did win, and don't try and be clever and send an email saying you won and you haven't, because I know the names. But just put in the subject what you want and your address, please, if you haven't already done so. Viper Gaming says, I think I was reading Phillips was going to West Ham. Yeah, that looks like it's actually pretty much done. And again, another player that we missed out on. I think Calvin Phillips was genuinely interested in joining Newcastle. Genuinely interested. But for some reason, I don't know. Anyway, moving on to Ederson, I've seen reports this morning that Ederson has now decided that, well, he hasn't decided, but Newcastle have decided that it's too expensive. I think that the price quoted for Ederson was around 40 to 45 million. There has been that pricked my ears up immediately because I thought that would be an absolutely brilliant deal. However, Newcastle apparently can't afford it. So it's the usual guys with the bollocks FFP that Ederson won't be signing for Newcastle. Kari, thank you for your super chat. That's very kind. This is to Phoebe. Hope she is well today. I have own kids with challenges. Send much love from Norway. Kari, that's lovely, mate. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Bobby says, possibly the reason there is no talk about us signing anyone because we have to sell first. We can't put in offers until we have the funds. I'm sure the club will if we sell. Yes, I agree, Bobby. And I agree there's still a lot of time left in this transfer window to bring players. Look, what I mean by saying there's a lot of time left is if Newcastle United have already got their targets in place for if, say, a Miggy or a Trippier leaves the club. It will free up some money to do some loan deals. I don't think there's going to be anybody bought outright in January. I don't think that's going to happen at all. But what I do really believe in is that we've got a couple of loans lined up, but we need that extra funds from a sale of a player. I think if we sell Miggy for closer to £30 million, I think that will fund 2 loan deals to come in for the rest of the season. And then in the summer, we build again. I have to believe, as a Newcastle United fan, I have to believe that we have got something in place and we are going to be looking towards the summer. You can't rebuild in a January transfer window. It's just pointless. You can't rebuild. You have to wait till the summer. But to get through the rest of the season, then I would truly believe that Newcastle United will have a couple of loan deals in place for the positions that we know need attention. Certainly a number 6 and certainly a striker. I think those are the 2 positions. Now, many people say, yeah, but the right-hand side, if Miggy goes, absolutely. It becomes 3 positions then. So, we do. Newcastle United owners are probably behind the scenes now with 23rd of January, working incredibly hard behind the scenes to try and do something. Because if they don't, we're in serious trouble. And I think a lot of people have genuinely are believing that maybe Newcastle United have given up on the season. I don't want to believe that at all. I find that staggering. It's something that I won't believe in for a very long time, to be honest. I think the FA Cup is still a big thing for these guys. It's still a huge thing for the owners. And but if we haven't got a squad there, then we're in trouble. And that's why I keep thinking that they must have somebody in place, because they don't want to write off the season, because that affects who we bring in the summer. And that is the worrying thing for me. If we sell Miggy and we bring in a couple of loan deals, fair enough. But if we sell Miggy and don't replace him with anybody, it's bizarre. It really is bizarre because we know the positions that need attention. We know there's players coming back from injury. That is a bonus for Newcastle United. But can we trust these players that are out injured at the moment to get to fully fitness before the end of the season? I'm not so sure we can. We know how long it takes for certain players to, come back from injury, but then they've got to get match fit. It's all right coming back. The likes of Willock, Barnes, etc., coming back from long-term injuries, they've got to get fit, and then they've got match fit, and that takes a while, guys. We know it does. The worry's there, but it's. I'm not panicking by any stretch of the imagination. I do believe that Newcastle United will get it right. But all these stories are like, wow, it's crazy. When Joelinton first came, we would be glad to get rid. How times have changed. Oh, absolutely. I do believe he is one of the first names on the team sheet now when he's available. 110%. He got hammered, and he got hammered off me on this channel. Those of you that haven't seen, the videos are all out there on the channel, but he was absolutely hammered by me. However, he's my favorite player now. So, yeah, times change. Connor, thank you for your super chat. He says, risky strategy if we're writing off this season, considering we've lost 8 out of 10 games. Surely PIF won't accept anything below 10th. Phillips is a loss. Yeah, I mean, look, PIF had told us numerous times since the takeover that they are winners and they want to be number one. That, for me, hasn't changed in the slightest. They still want to be number one and will do all they can. We are massively hampered by FFP. We know that. But hopefully, because there's been a lot of pushback on FFP now, hopefully that will change. Hopefully it will change in the future and the near future as well, because it's destroying football in general. We spoke about it on the show last night with FFP. These owners of the Premier League, the big execs, they want the Premier League to be the biggest league in the world. But if FFP is hampering us from bringing in the big stars of football across the globe, then we will be overtaken by La Liga, Serie A, at certain points, because they will be able to attract the better players because the money's not there in the Premier League. Or we're hampered by FFP, and there's only a couple of teams that can actually afford these players. And people are going to start watching other leagues because that's where the best players will be. Tangy says, I've just been ignoring the media cartel. They are just on their usual mission to create disharmony around the Toon. Brian says, season has been a write-off. The players couldn't cope with the extra games in Europe with a depleted squad. All the best trips and thanks for Chelsea. Come on the Borough tonight. Well, interesting, Brian. Yeah. Look, I don't think Trippier is going anywhere. I have to be honest. I think out of them all at the moment, I think Miggy is the one that's going. And if he has agreed to leave, I know I've been very, very hard on Miggy, but what I've always said all along is that one thing you cannot accuse Miggy of is effort. And every time he pulls a black and white shirt on, he gives his very, very best. Whether his best is good enough is irrelevant. He does give his very, very best. And I will always say that about Miggy. Do I think he's good or he's elite level footballer? No, I don't. But I think he can do a job for somebody else. But where we want to be, I don't think Miggy can. I think he can turn up against certain teams, but doesn't turn up against others. But one thing I will never accuse Miggy of is not working hard for the football club, because he does that every time he pulls a black and white shirt on. So certainly that effort-wise, somebody that comes in to replace him will have to offer that as well. Very important for me that we get that effort. Paul says, who knew that teams like Milan and Madrid would be linked with our players? We've come a long way in 2 years. Indeed. Adnan says, Toon will sign Anana and Doué, bet you. If we finish the transfer window signing those two, I'll be a happy man, Adnan. I'm telling you. Very happy man. West Ham happy to pay loan fee and obligation to buy for Phillips. Yeah, I think that's what tipped the deal. The fact that there is an obligation to buy there, and I think that's tipped the deal for me. But it's not done yet. It's not done yet. There may be a few little scraps and scrapes to come. Lee says, too much of the crap media putting rubbish on the YouTube channel. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there is other YouTube channels out there who've got media guests on and stuff like that. I mean, look, it's nice to have guests on at times, but when they're talking absolute tosh, it's hard to take any of them seriously. if Morgan Gibbs-White is the best Eddie Howe can attract to replace Miggy, he can go back to Bournemouth tomorrow for me. Getting fed up with all this Solanke crap as well, just embarrassing. That's a bit harsh. Look, I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a very, very good player. Look, there is some English players out there, guys, who can come in and play at the elite level, and I think Morgan Gibbs-White is one of them. But I think I just don't think that there's going to be enough money in the pot to bring him in, because they're not going to loan him out in this transfer window. It's going to have to be a permanent deal, and that's where, yeah, that's where I think it'll fall down. Look, we can't afford Ederson. There's no way we can afford to buy Gibbs-White. It's as simple as that. Andrew says, hi, TTR family. Nice to be on here live. Prayers are with you and the bed, Paul. Thank you very much, Andrew. Much appreciated, my friend. Liam says, would it be a disaster if we didn't sign anyone with all the injuries coming back in the next few weeks? For me, yes, it would be a disaster, because I don't trust many of these players to stay fit for the rest of the season. You know, we could be in a position where we've got a threadbare squad for the majority of games for the rest of the season. Is that something we really want to put these players through? Massive fatigue because we can't rotate and things like that? I don't think it is. I don't think it's something we want to put the players through. But, hey, you know, they know better than us, and we have to, again, the words trust the process, trust in who we have. Let's just see. Francisco, crazy times. I find myself wanting the window to end and have answers. Yeah, I mean, look, the main conversation will come when the window shuts, and then we can talk about who we have brought in, who we haven't brought in, who we've let go. All of that kind of stuff will be a very, very, very big talking point come the end of the window. Then we can sort of make predictions on what we see for the rest of the season. But I think the club also, if we don't sign anybody, need to bring us up to date with the injuries as to say, why haven't you brought anybody in, even loan deals, and why are you so confident that these players that are coming back from injury are going to stay fit? There's legitimate questions there from us fans, isn't there? You know, and they don't have to be nasty about it. It's just a case of, you know, just believing in getting a few answers. Dynamics Detailing says, I love the Toon review, guys. I do watch other channels like Loaded Mag, but there's one guy on there who just loves the sound of his own voice way too much. Well, that's your opinion. I mean, the Loaded guys do a good job. But each to their own, each to their own. Andrew says, I think this FFP with Darren Eales is a ruse. It was like telegraphing a punch, which the press jumped on. The £77 million loss is to do with the last 3-year cycle. Absolutely. And, you know, the media have jumped on it straight away. And, of course, the media will love that. Anything saying loss to Newcastle United, they'll jump out the traps and absolutely try and hammer us. And that's exactly what's happened here. They're idiots, man. Giving up goes against everything sports stands for. We should never quit and never give up. Absolutely. And that's the thing. I'm not even thinking about, you know, things like giving up the rest of the season, because I don't think it's in their mantle. It's not in Eddie's mantle. That's a certain. Could you imagine going up to Eddie Howe and saying, have you written off the season? No, absolutely no. Eddie's a winner. Eddie wants to win football matches, and he will continue to want to win football matches for the rest of this season, no matter who he's got on the pitch. But he will. Foxy says, what's the update, Paul? Miggy agreed to go, or just the bid has been agreed? Well, as far as we know, the money hasn't been agreed between the two clubs, but Miggy has agreed with Al-Shabaab. That's what we're hearing, that Miggy has agreed Al-Shabaab's move, agreed to the terms, but the clubs are yet to agree a fee. And it looks like Newcastle United are wanting 30, closer to 30 than the 20 million that was originally banded around yesterday. So for me, Miggy's made his mind up. He's open to the move. He's agreed terms. And again, I'll reiterate, this is through the big media outlets. This isn't through the the backstreet internet sites that are just making rumors up for clickbait. This is the big hitters out there who said that Miggy has agreed terms, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Miggy's going, because if the clubs don't agree anything, then it's pointless. It's pointless even talking about. Harming says, Paul, do you think Eddie Howe has pulling power, being linked with bang average players all the time? Gibbs-White is a good player, but we need better than that. I think you've been a little harsh on Gibbs-White, Harming. I think Gibbs-White is a very, very good player. However, Eddie Howe and pulling power. Does Eddie Howe have the same kind of pulling power as what the likes of Rafa Benitez, Kevin Keegan, Bobby Robson back in the day? Does he have the same pulling power as those managers? Interesting question. Let me know in the chat. Do you think he has the same pulling power as those managers? Or do you think it's a fact that, we can offer better money to these players that is the bigger pulling power? Is it the manager or is it the money? That's what we need to think about. Julie says it's been the most unusual transfer window in all many, many years I've been a Newcastle fan. Yeah, I mean, we thought, look, I think we all thought going into this winter transfer window was going to be a very, very different one to what we're seeing now. I think a lot of fans did expect some players through the door, whether it be only on loan or permanent deals. I think we all wanted certain positions to be covered in this transfer window. I remember at the very beginning of January, people thought that the first through the door would be Calvin Phillips, that we'd been speaking to him about a loan deal. So as soon as the window opened, we'd get him in. We're now 23rd of January. We have no new signings. And to be honest, the more talk is about players leaving than coming in. But as many people have stated, that may change once we get one or two out the door to free up a bit of money to bring players in. If we sell Miggy, put Gordon on the right, Isak on the left, and Share up front, he can score after all. Oh, that's clutching at straws, Bobby. Really clutching at straws, my man. Foxy says Calvin Phillips is a good player, would help us a lot, but 7 million loan for half a season is outrageous, and can only imagine the obligation fee. That's not good business for us. Need to buy cheaper and better. Look, the loan fees these days are absolutely crazy. So I'd agree with you there, Foxy. They are absolutely mad. And £7 million, I mean, originally it was 5, it's 7, it's 12, it's whatever it is. West Ham look like they're prepared to do that and meet all of Man City's instructions. But for us, it's a no-go. We're not in that position. We're not in the position to spend £7 million on a loan fee when there could be better deals out there. However, if Miggy does go for closer to 30 million, does that free up enough to pay the loan deal? May they go back in and scupper the deal for West Ham? Who knows? There's time left. But I do think that, interestingly enough, the deadline day is going to be interesting, because come deadline day, if it's still quiet like it is now for everybody, clubs will, I think, start to look at it and think, oh, Christ, we need at least one or two in the door. And a lot of deals could be done on deadline day this time around. It's going to be interesting. Ian says, I can't help but think that something is happening behind the scenes. What is being fed to the press is a smokescreen. Gone are the days of high-ups talking to the journalists. I just pray. I pray that is the case. It's some stuff are going on. Malcolm doesn't understand why we never brought Paqueta to the club. Again, I think it's money, to be honest. I really do. I think if we could have afforded Paqueta at the time, I think Paqueta would have been through the door. But again, FFP, and I'm sick of saying them 3 bloody letters. I really am. And I think every football fan is sick of saying those 3 letters. It's a pain in the arse, is what it is. And I just hope that they get it sorted. Looney Tunes says, I wouldn't commit to buy Phillips. You don't know which one you'll get, the good Leeds player or the crappy Man City version. I don't think he's been crap at Man City, Looney Tune, to be honest. He just never played. It's very hard to judge a player who's hardly kicked the ball for them. But there must be a reason why he hasn't kicked the ball for them. And that's the flip side of it. Scally says he's been playing football all his life. If he's never learned to use his right foot, he never will. Well, he started to, hasn't he, in the last few games? Kelly says, I've got a few days left now on Now TV, so I put Sky Sports on last night, and they were on about Mike Ashley doing an amazing job. Well, there you go. That's how pig-thick some of those pundits are on there. And look, I've seen lots of comments on social media about who Sky Sports are actually putting on their shows now for these transfer windows. They're talking absolute bull rot. I mean, gone are the days where we see some proper people on there talking about the transfers. It's absolute crap on there now. You turn it on and you listen to them and you think, what the hell are these people talking about? Like Kelly says there, Mike Ashley, an amazing job. Do me a effing favour, will you? What a load of absolute nonsense. Nathan says, would you take Bamford until the end of the season? No. I think Bamford, he misses too many chances. Look, he scored that worldie the other week, right? But that is, he can't do that. But have we seen enough from Bamford to come into the Premier League and score goals? Nah, not for me. Foxy says Morgan Gibbs-White is brilliant as well, but the price to bring him again is pointless, too expensive. Can't keep overpaying for players from the Premier League and then later say we have no money to spend. It's a good point, and that's what these guys will be thinking behind the scenes. They have to get it right. They have to get it right, because if they don't, they're going to come in for a lot of flack, not just from the players being unhappy, but the fans. It's massive. These last few days of the transfer window are huge, especially if we let, the likes of Almiron go. It's huge. Paul says, is this what it's become for us, looking at players like Gibbs-White? Definitely not the way forward. That's taken a step back for me. Missed out on a good deal with Guirassy, says Lee. Absolutely. I still think Guirassy, at the time for his release clause was it made perfect sense, unless he was asking too much for wages. I mean, we may have been in touch with him. Of course, I think a lot of teams would have inquired about him, but he hasn't gone anywhere and nobody's paid the release clause. So there has to be a reason for that. And I think behind the scenes, he was probably asking for too much wages. Given that he's only had, really, this season, he's been hitting the back of the net. He hasn't been prolific. So teams would still be probably taking a little bit of a risk trying to bring Guirassy in. Do we want Europe when we fell away so much this year? I think you have to aim for Europe. I think you've got to. What's the point? If we're not aiming for Europe, we're back to the old days where we're just like taking mid-table as, okay, that'll do. We've got to get into Europe. And, we've learned lots of lessons this season from being in Europe. I do believe that a lot of lessons have been learned, and that we need a bigger squad, a bigger and better squad to go at it next time we're in Europe. So I think not aiming for Europe would be a disaster. We've got Botman, Isak, and Bruno with Howe. Yeah, we did. Absolutely. I heard the FFP resets itself on the 1st of July. It does, but it's supposed to get tougher over the next 2 years. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's the way it's set at the moment. It is going to be even more stricter. But I think that has to be redone by the time it does reset itself. It needs a new system in place. And I'd be very disappointed if there isn't a new system in place. And I think a lot of teams will be disappointed if there's nothing in place. But look, what's not going to stop throughout the day is different things happening, guys. Different news popping up. If anything big happens, I will go live straight away. Otherwise, we'll cover it on the show. Tonight, we've got a transfer show at 7 o'clock. So we're going to have a look at some more of the players linked. And again, this is just players linked in the media. We're not saying they're coming, but we're looking at the positions and where they could play and where they could fit into the squad. It's brilliant doing these shows because you get an insight and a deeper dive into the players that are linked. And you yourselves, the viewers, can decide if you think they can do a job for Newcastle United should a deal be made. But of course, we'll bring you all the latest news as well as it happens. If there's any big news happens with Miggy or anything, we will go live, obviously. If not, we'll bring you all the latest news in the show tonight. We've got a great Q&A tomorrow night as well, guys. The Toon Review Q&A. We haven't done one for a while. So if you are new to the channel as a subscriber, you can ask us, the hosts, anything to get to know us better, whether it be about football or you want to get to know us a bit better about who we are and things like that. We are a big family on here, so that we're not going to sit and bullshit. Yeah, we're gonna. If you want to know something about us, then that's very fine, within reason, of course, within reason. But there you go. That is all done and dusted for this morning's news, guys. Over 900 watching. Thank you so much, and I see we've gained quite a few subscribers as well. Welcome to the channel. Thank you everybody for your support. I really do like doing these morning shows. We started off getting a couple of hundred views, and now we're getting near 1,000, which is incredible. And it's all down to you guys. The support that you give me and the channel is simply incredible. And it does, I keep saying it, but it does mean the world to us. Ian Magpies says, Paul, did you used to play ice hockey for the Warriors? I did indeed, a while back. But as I say, it means so much to me, starting this channel and seeing it grow like this, and just having the support from you guys is just incredible. It really is. And I'll say that till the cows come home. I don't care. I really, it's from the heart. I genuinely appreciate every bit of support we get on this channel. So thank you so much. Don't forget, tonight at 7 o'clock, we've got the transfer show. As I say, that should be a great show as well. and we will bring you up to date with any breaking news if anything happens throughout the day. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your super chats and new memberships. Thank you, mods. But as usual, thank you guys. You are genuine legends. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you again tonight for the transfer show at 7 o'clock. Take care.
Come back and check out some green.